You know what? When night falls, or the time that people should be sleeping falls, people are very uncomfortable because they start saying, oh Lord, so now what am I supposed to do? Because I'm going to close my eyes for about an hour and I'm not going to sleep. And people like me will be like, what do you mean? Just close your eyes, put your head on the pillow. Rather, put your head on the pillow first, close your eyes and sleep. I mean, what's the problem? And then it will have to take an earth-shattering earthquake to wake you up. That's the thing that we're talking about. But for some people, it's a mystery and it's terrible. We're talking about insomnia and vitality supplements this morning on our Healthy Friday conversation. And Professor Kennedy Imbuki is here with us this morning in the hot seat. He's a clinical psychologist and he's here. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning. How are you?
I am very well. I slept well.
Oh, you did. Thank you.
I did.
Yeah.
Thanks. But I am also sensitive, and we are sensitive to the fact that many do not. And we are having that conversation this morning and looking at the reasons as to why this may be and what can actually be done about it. And we're also talking about trend chasing in the market today in terms of what's happening to battle this insomnia thing. So we'll go into some of these things this morning, but we want to welcome you to the hot seat of the Situation Room with today's proverb.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Prof, I also slept well.
Oh, you did?
Yes, just so we clear that off the table. Yeah, but then again, Professor, today we are in Morocco. And Morocco is a beautiful country whose tourism is off the charts. You talk about their garments, their carpets, really beautiful pictures that come from that country. But part of the history that stand out as well is that the very first and the oldest university ever to be known in the world comes from Morocco.
Yes.
And then again in 1777, they were the first country, again, it's a country of many firsts, the very first country to recognize the United States as a state. But let's go to the proverb. The heart that loves you won't hurt you. The heart that loves you won't hurt you. How would you interpret that?
The heart that loves you won't hurt you. I think, for me, I would say probably they would do things, but not intentionally to hurt you. But the way you interpret what they have done, probably for you, it might be something that is hurting. But in most cases, whoever loves you, they would want to do the best for you. But the best they are doing might not necessarily be the best for you. Yes.
Well,
Indeed. Love the interpretation. Yeah. So like we say, I guess just as I'm about to say it, I'm thinking about the irony of it, but going to sleep is a nightmare for a lot of people.
Yes.
It's not the dream situation, essentially. And let's start off with some definitions as we're looking into this thing. We hear insomnia all the time. It almost sounds like a trend where someone says, well, I'm an insomniac. It's not a good thing. What is insomnia?
Insomnia, for me, I would just go it the layman's language. Insomnia is where somebody is going to bed, wanting to sleep, but then they do not have a continuous sleep. They have interrupted sleep. So, and it continues for some time. So, say for example, 7 days, you sleep. Wake up, sleep, wake up, sleep, wake up. Every time you go to bed, you want to sleep. You sleep for a short time, you wake up, sleep for a short time, you wake up, and all that. So that is where we would say somebody is developing insomnia. For some people, sometimes they can be awake for 2 or 3 days, but that's really dangerous. Yes.
Awake for 3 days?
3 days. Yes.
I don't understand.
That they go to bed, but they're not able to get sleep. So they are just awake. They go to bed. They're actually in bed, but they are not asleep. Because, sometimes we always imagine that every time somebody has closed their eyes, they are actually sleeping. Because sleep is altered state of consciousness. Yes, it's just an altered state of consciousness. So you find, for example, that somebody is not really conscious of the environment at that particular time, and sometimes, so when you close your eyes, you are closing out what is present around you. So sometimes you might be thinking so and so is asleep, but then they are actually not very much asleep. But again, when you talk about sleep, it's in stages. We have the first stage, the second stage, and then we have the stage that is very important for sleep is called rapid eye movement. Yes, it's very important because just think about it. There are times when somebody would be maybe on a busy day. They just put their head on a table and then they sleep. And when they wake up, they feel really refreshed.
Like a power nap.
Yes. Yes, like a power nap. So that at that particular time, they actually experience rapid eye movement. It's not a very long period. And so that's why you find whenever somebody goes to bed and they wake up in the morning and they're feeling really energized, they're feeling rested, then they had a good sleep.
I need to understand because I'm just going to pick apart the words. When you say rapid eye movement,
Yes.
I would imagine that the eyes are moving really quickly.
Yes, but then
we are talking about sleep, whereby we would want everything to be relaxed.
Yes.
How do the two come together?
You know, when you talk about rapid eye movement, it's a phase in sleep. That's how we would interpret it. It's a phase in sleep. But it's not like your eyes are open, then they start moving. No. Your eyes are actually closed.
I know people who sleep with their eyes open, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
But
in this case, your eyes are just closed. But that particular time is like they move very fast.
Okay.
Yeah. So that and it's a very short period. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the reasons why one would be awake or unable to sleep? Why would one be unable to sleep for such long periods of time? We're talking earlier with Aseto and we're all part of these many chat groups. And maybe you come later on in the day and that you find that folks were up discussing things and there was not a party, or if there was, I was not invited. But it's 2 a.m. It's 3 a.m. and exactly thousands of messages. And it's by certain people. It's not by everybody, but it's by certain people, and there's a repetitive behavior. And so you wonder, what's going on here?
Yeah, you know, when we talk about insomnia, there are various reasons why somebody would probably develop insomnia. One of them is alcohol use. So like when somebody uses alcohol, in most cases, if they are getting to that stage of addiction, then probably the sleep will be interfered with, such that if they don't quite take a drink, then they might probably not sleep.
Okay.
So that is one. Two, if you say, for example, you have a particular condition, a medical condition, that you are in pain, so the pain would keep you awake, and you're not able to sleep at that particular time. Three, you find, for example, if you have so many activities during the day and those particular activities that are lined up, you don't kind of like conclusively end them. It's just like a computer. You see, if you open so many programs and then you even leave the computer, you're not touching it. The programs are running, really. So it's not like the computer is off. The programs are running, and therefore, so it means if you close up the computer, then now it will be able to maybe run better and all that. So you find that many people who have a lot of activities to do, and those activities, maybe they did not kind of tick and resolve every activity and so on. So they keep kind of unconsciously begin to postpone. So when they go to bed, the mind begins to rearrange. They're like, when I wake up in the morning, I want to do this, I want to do the other, and maybe when I'm doing this, I should not forget this. So you don't imagine that you are engaging your mind throughout. The other reasons is sometimes we have gadgets in our bedrooms. Like when you go with a TV, you go with a computer, you go with a phone, and then you have sockets that light up in the bedroom. That would easily keep you awake. Those particular lights, and especially the blue lights, they would keep you awake. The other thing is if you have had a conflict, and this particular conflict, I liked how you started it. A heart that loves you won't hurt you, So you go to bed and you're like, I thought so-and-so loved me.
Oy.
Why would they be doing this? And probably the person is sleeping next to you, or maybe they're not even next to you. But you're wondering, really? Did they actually do this? But this is taking a bit of time. And before you know it, it's morning and you wake up and you go and do other things, you never resolved it. The following, in the evening, as you go to bed, again that happens. That in most cases would keep you awake. The other reason could be, apart from a conflict, you go to bed, and when you're going to bed, you have an engagement tomorrow, which is very exciting, and you're looking forward to to it, and you're like, I can't wait. This is a big thing for me, and probably that big thing for you, it turns out to be good, or it might not necessarily turn out to be good. But then if you don't resolve it, you will keep on thinking about this. Really. You keep on thinking about this. So there are quite a number of reasons that would keep somebody awake. Some of them might be very positive, yeah, but others could be negative. Or even say, for example, you have just talked about chats. I'm on phone, and then somebody begins a very hot discussion, and you're like, no, I don't want to miss out on this. So you're on and you're on and you're on. Before you know it, it's late. So by the time you're going to bed, because you see, what happens with sleep is one needs to develop a cycle, because it's a cycle. So it's like, if you are supposed to be sleeping at 10, and you consistently sleep at 10, the moment 10 is approaching, your body begins to go to a refractory kind of position. You want to sleep.
So, Doc, you see, when we started, there's as you're giving us the chronology of events now, you realize that in the current setting where we find ourselves is, I go to bed, perhaps I would need to text my significant other good night. A conversation might be sweet, you're on your phone. Or because I have proper internet connectivity in the house, I have 2 televisions, one for the children in the living room, I have another one in the bedroom where I follow up, I will catch up with the movies that I like. Or most of the time, because I like these beautiful lights, so I have RGB lights under my bed because,
Dennis is describing his life.
His life.
In case you were wondering. So you can diagnose problems.
So I want to set the mood and the tone. Or on the wall, I have, like nowadays, you have a socket that has this red light.
Yeah.
But you realize for you to sleep, personally, I can't sleep where there's light. Even my socket, I've put a black tape, so that I'm able to sleep. But you find a lot of people are doing this, and they say they are insomniac, but you follow, it is based off things you do at home.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily because you have a condition, but it's because you have conditioned yourself by what it is you do at night. So in such situations, I'm unable to sleep. How then do I say, perhaps it's the TV, it's the phone, it's the RGB light that I have in the house?
In most cases, I would say it's better for you to have a discussion with a therapist, because you see, sometimes, I always tell colleagues and people I meet that when we talk about issues of mental health, because being a mental health specialist, I always tell people it's always good to talk about certain things, and the more you talk about them, as you talk about them, you think through what you're talking. At some point, some kind of an aha light will just okay. I could be this, could be the reason. Because you see, like I like when she was saying that Dennis is describing. So I would easily really say, okay, so if this is the kind of setting of the bedroom, probably this is what it is. But for me, I would say, one, go for therapy, not because you are insomniac or something like that, but just because you just want to understand how your life is going, your lifestyle, and all those kinds of things, and because there are a lot of changes that are happening daily. The other thing is just for purposes of education. Sometimes we have people who are specialists in certain areas. They would be able to tell you, for example, a bedroom setting. A bedroom is just not a bedroom. One, you cannot have your bedroom in such a way that your bed is on one side, facing one side all your life. No, it shouldn't. You cannot have your bedroom the same color throughout your life. No. Like maybe you would change the curtains, you would change probably the beddings, you would change certain things within the bedroom. You would declutter the bedroom. At certain times you introduce certain things in the bedroom, because then you are giving yourself life within the bedroom.
Yeah.
The reason why people would want to go for alternatives, like maybe if I take supplements and so on, is because they are finding life really going very fast, and yet they are not keeping up to the pace.
Just for clarification, we are
Yes.
talking about furniture in the bedroom. We are not talking about changing people.
No. We are not talking about changing people in this case.
Just to be sure.
Yes, you're very right. It's not changing people. I mean, a bedroom, you could be staying in the bedroom alone. So
Yeah.
it's not about changing people in the bedroom. Of course, there are those who are married and all that. So what I'm saying is the items actually, because people are not items. So the items within the bedroom, it would be nice. I would recommend, personally, that some of these changes are made, because you're injecting new life in that particular space.
Okay. Now, there's certain things that happen before we go to sleep. What we eat. Usually, I'll never forget when my teacher is when we were younger, and they would say, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and supper like a pauper. So that you should eat your lightest meals at the end of the day, if any, at all. So if you eat a heavy meal at night, what does that do to how you will sleep? That's one. And then you talked about the mental state of things, and we see the word depression in the comment section popping up quite already. And does a state of mind then, is it possible to keep you awake before we then come into cures for insomnia?
Yeah. Let me begin by saying the eating habits. Actually, we always encourage that before you go to bed, avoid stimulants. Foods that would keep you awake. There are those, but it also depends on people. We have different people who they would eat something. For somebody, it would be a stimulant. For another person, it might not necessarily be a stimulant. But then one should always remember that if I take, say, for example, tea, or I take coffee, or I take whatever, ginger or something like that, it would keep me awake. So if you know that would happen, then it's important for you to avoid. Again, when you eat in the morning, you need to eat enough food in the morning. Why? Because you need energy. You are going to walk around, you're going to work and all that. And so your brain requires to kind of be revitalized, get the food that you require. But then now, when as the day progresses, your energy levels, of course, you are spending them. But now, in the evening, when you eat a heavy meal, digestion needs to happen. So when digestion is happening, that's why sometimes you find you feel sleepy when you eat, which is okay. But then now, when you eat a lot and you're going to bed, it will actually interfere with your sleep. Just think about it. For people, if you have actually interacted with people, they will tell you that there was a time I had a nightmare. Try to inquire when you went to bed what had happened, and in most cases they would have overeaten.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's always important for us to eat just light meals, or eat earlier. Even if you want to eat a heavy meal, eat earlier, so that by the time you're going to bed, your stomach is not as heavy as it were. So then you'd easily be rested at that particular time.
Okay.
Now, yeah, and then you were talking about depression coming, the state of mind. Yes, the state of mind when you're going to bed is critical. That's what I would say, actually, because that is what would help you to either sleep or stay awake. Because you see, just think about it. You had been looking forward to doing something, then you have completed it. You just feel like, and you want to rest. But you see, if you go to bed and you are still engaged with, because when you talk about depression, we are talking about a heavy emotion. You're having emotion that has a lot of weight. You're thinking of, like, will I make it? And do I have any hope? And again, like, for people who, say, for example, could be going through some form of depression. But when you talk about depression as a disease, it's totally different from the way somebody says, I'm feeling depressed, or stressed. even when you talk about stress, there are different levels of stress. So one has to really be very clear what they actually mean
by that.
Yeah. So it could be just for a short time that I expected this to happen, it didn't happen. So I'm feeling very, hopeless at that particular time. But then now, if that happens, when you go to bed, actually catching sleep would be a bit difficult. Yes. Yeah. So the state of mind is very key.
So, Doc, most of the time, when I just have conversation told it's proper that you sleep 8 hours, right? But then there are realities of life where it's work, it's whatnot. You get in the house late, or you left the house, or you left workplace early, but there's traffic. You get to the house late, dinner, shower, you catch up with your people. It's 11. You wake up early, say 3-4. So your hours of sleep are limited, not because you don't want to sleep early, but because of just how life is. Or you follow your coach, your life coaches out here, and they tell you, for you to make it in life, 3 hours max is what you need. You can't be sleeping some more. So put all these things into consideration. And questions being asked as well is, how many hours is a good hours for someone to just sleep?
How many good hours? That's a question I get almost all the time when we are talking about sleep. It depends on age.
60.
If a baby would sleep for even 12 hours, and it's okay, because again, what are they going to do anyway? But then as you grow older, you find that you have more, responsibilities to attend to, which is okay. What I would recommend for me, I would say that plan your day. When you have planned your day and you say, for example, I want to be sleeping, even if it's just the 4 hours they are talking about, you still can sleep for 4 hours and you're rested. So what you do is you tell yourself, I'll be going to bed at 11. I'll be out of bed at 5. So you now develop some discipline. I one time I was telling somebody that the current child has not been taught delayed gratification. They want this and they want it now, and so when it means they need to delay, they are not able to do it.
Sure.
If they need to be patient, they are not able to do it. And then when it comes to making choices, they are not able to make really nice choices at that as it was. So I would say that come up with a policy and tell yourself, the moment it is 11, it doesn't matter who it is, it doesn't matter what it is, I am going to bed. And there are some people that even if I call them at such a time, they will not pick. And everybody, your friends know, and so on. So they never bother. But if you keep on availing yourself that you're always available, they can call you. Anytime they call you, you'll pick. And yet it is night. Then you actually inviting them to disturb you, and you're inviting disturbance in your sleep. So you just decide, if it's 11, please don't call me. And even if you call, I will not respond to it.
Yes. And that's okay.
And it's okay.
And it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, the world won't stop because you didn't pick the call. Yeah.
Okay. So in dealing with insomnia, which, looking at the different reasons that could cause this, there are folks who are actually dealing with it, and they really wish I really want to, in the way because for me, and maybe insensitive to a point, I would just say, what are you talking about? Put your head on the pillow, close your eyes, go to sleep. Very simple. But for a lot of people, it's a nightmare in order to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's a bit insensitive for those who can sleep like that to speak to those who cannot in that manner. But at the same time, it's also difficult to understand why somebody wouldn't just be able to close their eyes and go to sleep. And so the trend now in the market is to have sleep assistants and drugs. The big ones come into play. Antihistamines are used quite often. Somebody's going to take cough syrup not because they have a cough, but because the antihistamine in the syrup is going to give a drowsy effect, and they overdose on that so that they can sleep for longer periods. That is a thing. Alcohol. There's a comment here that we've seen that if I don't take a shot of something strong, I will not sleep. So you take a shot of something strong, it knocks you out, and you can sleep for a couple of hours, or maybe more than you normally would if you didn't. And then we've also seen the market trend today of melatonin. Melatonin, and maybe you can explain what that is to us, that folks are going. Dennis Okari is not normally here on Fridays, but he told us just the other day that he went to a pharmacy to make a purchase, and the pharmacy told them that this melatonin that you see here is the fastest selling drug in the. It used to be the emergency contraception.
Yes.
Now melatonin is the fastest selling drug from pharmacies. And a bottle of it is 9,000 shillings for the month, but it goes off the shelves like crazy because people are taking it in order to sleep. So it points to two things. One, there is an insomnia issue in our society.
Yes.
But at the same time, there is a dependence on drugs in order to sleep. Not to cure the insomnia, but to sleep. So are these ways to deal with these issues? And if we're looking for a cure, the cure is not to sleep. The cure might be the sleeping is a byproduct. But what is the cure for this insomnia? So it's quite some, but let's see if we can look at that.
Yeah, so one of the, and I think partly there are a few answers in the questions, but I would want to say this, when you take a sleep enhancing drug, let me just put it that way. When you take a sleep enhancing drug, actually it's recommended that you can only be given for 3 days to assist you. After 3 days, you cannot continue because then you are creating dependence and you will not be able to get out of it. So what I would encourage, I would say is, we need to get to understand what is a trigger for this particular person for insomnia, because the triggers for each individual is totally different. Every individual has their way, the things that have triggered. But again, I would say that even though that it's illegal, and I do not think a health professional would encourage anybody to keep, just keep taking melatonin. Yeah, just keep doing, because some of these things, the long effect is really terrible. Like even just the alcohol. We are talking about other conditions that would come because of that. You see, like when the pancreas is not able to now keep on processing what you're giving it, then what will happen? You will now develop diabetes. So you'll find you will not just now be dealing with sleep, but you will have another condition. Now, diabetes has now developed. So what we always would say is, let's look at the trigger. What is this that is triggering people not sleeping? One of the things that I have found out is that most people do not exercise. And when you ask them, why don't you exercise? They say, I don't have time to exercise, which is not true. Like even when we are here in studio, you can still exercise. You can lift your legs under the table. Nobody knows you're lifting the legs under your table and you're exercising. You can flip your toes. You can do a lot of exercises. At times when you are not busy, even though you're on the desk, you can stand, stand up and walk around and do, just making sure you are having a lot of movements. So you find that in most cases, because people are not making any movements, they are not exercising enough, they are not checking on their diet. Like the current diet that most people are on, they are taking a lot of sugar, and a lot of sugar will actually also keep you awake, So I think for me, the most important thing here is for us to look at what are the triggers. What is this that is triggering people and the community not to be able to sleep? The other thing is you'll find these days people avoid resolving conflicts. You get into a conflict and you run away from the person. So you like keep away from their company. But that has not resolved. So, it will catch up with you tomorrow. So that is one thing that is happening. The second thing that is happening is people are looking for money and they're looking for money in a way that they are desperate because they are competing. You know, peer pressure. I used to think peer pressure was among children. You know, now it is worse among the adults. So Dennis has bought a car. I must drive as well. Dennis has built. I must be. So you'll spend a lot of sleepless nights thinking how you are going to get money to be able to buy the car that Dennis bought, and yet Dennis maybe probably comes from a family where they're supporting him in one way or the other, or he has other means of getting. So that unnecessary competition is not necessary. I always tell people, I mean, even if you had millions, you can only eat one plate. If you have even if you have millions, you can only drive one car. You can only sleep on one bed. The hours are only 24 hours. Relax. The more you relax and get contented, the better. Because most people are very discontented. And because they are discontented, then they start looking for ways and means of being able to fit in. That is the other thing. You know, just trying to fit in.
Yeah.
And because probably like I met somebody who asked, how did you start drinking? I said, it was just social drinking. And now he's drinking more than the person who introduced him.
So, Doc, you see, there is all that we're discussing.
Yes.
And most of the time, as Ndu has said, we rush to the chemist to pick up the drug, right?
Yes.
Because that is the easiest way out.
Yes.
The difficult part is to sit down, Okari would say, zoom out, look yourself, and find out where the rain started beating you.
Yes.
Because everybody would tell you as a child, I used to sleep well. At some point in life is when that stopped being the case.
Yes.
And that means that as individuals, as adults, it is proper for us to first of all talk about our problems. It's proper for us to seek medical attention and advice and assistance.
Yes.
But this do not happen because look at the stereotype that is associated with people suffering from mental health. People don't want to talk. I come to you, perhaps I even want to hide or come in the evening so that no one sees me walking inside your space to seek for help. Which brings us to health-seeking behavior, especially
Among the men.
Yeah. So how do we deal with this problem such that if I have a problem, let me deal with the problem and not rush for these vitality medicine?
Yeah, I think organizations need to begin to create awareness. At some point, I was telling some CEO, I was saying, you know, sometimes just invite us. We might not necessarily ask to charge, but we can come and talk to a group of people, you know, to the organization, you know, to the staff. You know, when you are all of you are seated there, and then somebody comes and talks about something, and you kind of normalize it. You know, so and the moment one breaks the shell and comes, you will find 2, 3 other people coming up. It's just like, say, for example, you do a lecture and you ask, is there any question? Nobody's raising their hands to say there is a question. But the moment one person raises their hands and they say, I have this question, you will see everybody is now asking. So I think one of the things we need to do is to ask organizations to be able to create that space where people can be able to talk about issues and all that. And even in families, we need to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. You see, for example, if you have adult children, and not necessarily even adult children, how many parents can allow their children to come and express themselves? And express themselves in such a way that say, for example, Daddy, I think you are wrong. And you take it and listen to them. Most people would want to be very defensive, and it's not necessary to be defensive. So if we can begin to create those kinds of spaces where people can talk about their issues, they're like, this is what is happening. I encourage families, before you go to bed and sleep, get some time. Even if you're Christians or Muslims or whatever, not necessarily going to pray. You can pray, which is a good practice. But just have that little time, and you say, we just want to find out quickly how your day was and so on. Is there anything that needs to be addressed and so on? I started that in my family, and bam, all my children improved at school. Yes. They improved. Now, the adult children now, some of them are practicing, one is a doctor and others, they have done very well. But we would sit down and we say, how was your day? The day was like this. Mwalimu asked me for this and so on. I was not able to do this and so on. I would also be vulnerable and tell them, my day was good. However, as I was coming, I delayed. There was this and that and all that. Let me tell you, there is a time when the child would tell you, but I was wondering why you are so quiet and you are so withdrawn. We were trying to engage you and you don't want to engage with us. In fact, I started feeling like you hate me. You don't like me anymore. You don't want to talk to me. I'm like, no, I had just stuff I was dealing with, And so you can imagine a child is beginning to behave that way and so on. So I'm thinking that we need to begin to create those spaces. And there are safe spaces where we can be able to talk about this. I guess this is one way of doing it. When we are able to talk about it like this and everybody is listening, they're like, oh, okay. Okay.
Or that I'm not alone in this.
I'm not alone in this. Yes. So the more this is done, I think the better. Actually, right now, I would tell you, it's much better. In mental health, now we can see quite a number of people. I was telling somebody, do you know when you want to take a loan, you need to talk about it. When you now have the money, you need to talk about it. Plan. Because you see, for example, you apply for a loan and you wanted to build, and probably the amount of money that you have actually taken is not enough to complete your house. You need to begin to plan. How am I going to get the rest of the money to be able to finish it? Because if you don't do that, you're actually inviting insomnia. Because you have a loan you are paying. You don't have another income to need. You don't have the house. So, but if you talk about it and you plan, you are able to avoid so much. Yeah, so you avoid so much. So I'm thinking we need to do that. The other thing is just getting to have a group. There is a group that we were starting in Kisumu of men. And bringing men together is not very easy. Of men. Men will tell you, okay, what are we going to do? So they want a project, do it, finish it, and disappear. But then we were coming up with a group where we would be able to just come together. Just have fun. Not really talk about serious things. Just have fun. And just those small groups, you'd realize people have so much stuff to talk about.
Indeed.
Yeah, so much.
I want to go back to this melatonin issue because we know that melatonin is a naturally occurring hormone.
Yes.
We have it.
Yes.
Now, for those who are advised to then take it as a supplement, does it mean that there is not enough, or that are there external factors that are inhibiting the production of melatonin that then obstructs sleep?
Yes. Yeah, you have put it right. And you are only advised to boost.
Okay.
And it's just boosting for a very short time. And actually, they are normally external factors that cause the inhibition of melatonin production. But it's a natural hormone that gives us the sleep cycle. Yeah, the sleep cycle. But again, just as it is, for example, like every other hormone, you'll find, for example, the male hormone, testosterone, begin to drop as somebody grows older. So it means you have to do those activities that would boost it.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, that's the reason why I brought in the issue of exercise, because when you exercise your body, then your body begins to get back to the regenerating, the normal, natural hormones. They come in. Yes.
I want to ask a question because this has come up a couple of times as well. That there's some folks who work at night.
Yes.
Right? Because of just our world.
Yes.
So at the time when, because we assume that nighttime is for sleeping. So what can you do to ensure that you get the sleep? Because then during the day, there's a beehive of activity. Other things are happening and you feel kind of odd sleeping during the day. But do you force yourself? You said just relax. Can you do that? Force yourself to then sleep during the day? Create a nighttime effect? Use a sound machine? What do you do to ensure
you actually don't need to use a sound? You can if you want to, but again, for those who sleep at night, work at night, and they should be sleeping during the day. What should happen is, as I said, agree on the time. Agree with yourself. It's not an advice. Agree on yourself. Like, if I'm working and I leave work at, say, for example, 8, and especially for us in the medical field, you are handing over and so on. So you are leaving at 8, and then you get to the work maybe at 9 or 10. What you need to do is you need to take a shower. After you have taken a shower, then you take something warm to warm yourself up, and then check on the room temperatures of your room. If, say, for example, during the day it gets very hot, then probably just cool down the room, and then try as much as you can to create that arresting effect. One of the ways you can do is to learn how to breathe. Most, you would think that breathing is a natural thing, that so people should just breathe naturally.
I mean, surely open your mouth
and breathe out. No, for some people it's quite something big. So what you need to do is learn to breathe. When you breathe in and out, and so on. So you oxygenate your body. The relaxing effect comes in. And make sure some of the things that we talked about, switching off the lighting systems around and all that, the moment you have done that, you actually should be able to sleep. But then that's why you find, for example, for those who work at night, they always have those other days off. For example, you'll work 4 days at night, then you have 4 days off. Yeah, because you can be able to recover. So when you have those days of recovering, don't go for locums. Sleep. Yeah, because the temptation of like, it's daytime, so I can get some money. And that's the reason why I was saying it doesn't matter how much somebody earns. People are living in this city who earn 20,000 and they are very comfortable, and there are people earning over 200,000 and very uncomfortable. Yeah, so it's not actually in how much, it's that environment you are creating. And the state of mind of contentment that you get to have that helps you to recover yourself very well.
Yep. So, Doc, we'll just go back to the example you gave in terms of conversations you've had with your children and how that changed the game.
Yes.
I remember this one time I was having a conversation with just male peers, and he just asked, how many of you can remember the last time you hugged your dad? Silence. When do you remember when you hugged your mom? Easy. Last week.
Yes.
It is a conversation that is there.
Yes.
And when I told them, my dad, anytime. I hug that, I call him ninja. I hug that ninja anytime. But you look at the environment that is created in terms of just having these conversations from a basic point of family, so that as children grow, they understand the importance of sitting down and having a conversation. Yes. That parents create an environment where it is okay not to be okay, and that there is a solution to anything you're going through. So just how important is it for parents who are listening today to create that environment, or for those who are not creating that environment, to jump onto that and encourage just talking as one of the ways of finding a solution? Actually,
you'd realize that most parents who engage with family members, that they're having a conversation, and you don't have to have a serious conversation as it were.
Yeah.
Yes, there are times when, like, you create and you tell everybody, by the way, tomorrow at such and such a time, nobody is going to be away. We must be around, especially if you are going to deal with sensitive matters. Especially for those who are having teenagers and adult children who are moving out and so on. So you want to put things in place. So that one you need to actually tell everybody, prepare for this. We need to have this conversation and be stern about it. But then parents need to become vulnerable. We always have always known parents to be these strong superheroes and so on. It's important for your children to get to know that there are times when you are vulnerable. And it's okay to be vulnerable, because when that happens, then you are creating, an environment among the family members where they can now feel safe. That, okay, so it's okay for me to talk about this. But if you don't do that, then it becomes very difficult for for the family members to feel that they can be able to get into conversation. And by the way, you were talking about a hug. I always tell people, a normal human being needs more than almost 800,000 touches, leave alone just hugs, touches. And natural touches and safe touches, not a beating or whatever. A greeting, a hug, a touch, a pat. Every time you do that, there is you are creating confidence in that person. The person feels loved. The person feels important. The person feels wanted. But most people are always in a hurry. They don't have time. Even these days, of course, COVID came, but COVID is not here, really. And if it is, you can take precautions. But at the same time, just get to have time. You can be able to hug. Giving love and receiving love is one thing that most people don't take.
That's a great place to end on. And I actually think that could be a billboard campaign that we put around cities.
Yes.
Hug somebody today.
Yes.
Don't be a creep, but hug somebody today. At least then, it goes through. And then for us to then be able to get into sleep. One of the ways in which we start to move the needle is have conversations like this that are ordinarily comfortable for a lot of people, or like you say, for folks who are hiding in this place of uncertainty where they don't know if it's okay to talk about some of these things, but that you don't sleep at night and that you're getting a poor quality of life for whatever reason, is something to talk about. So we want to thank you so much for being here on a Healthy Friday discussion with us this morning. Professor Kennedy Imbuki is a clinical psychologist. We've been talking about insomnia. It doesn't end here. We will need to continue talking about things like this. So thank you for doing this with us this morning.
Thank you.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.